Hi everyone, my name is Natalie, and welcome to the Existential Bed podcast, where I lay on the existential bed and I talk about existential things at 2 a.m. because that's how I am. Welcome to the Existential Bed podcast, where we talk about some things. Sometimes I feel like the only way I'm able to think about myself is when it's like I'm alone and like in solitude and like the night. It's sort of comforting, like the night is sort of comforting in a way, but I know that it also is kind of damaging in that you're more likely to like disassociate or have unrealistic thoughts that sort of just blow over in the morning. And that's why I feel like 2 a.m. existentialism is both good but also bad, because on one hand, like, you have the benefits of not having to worry about anything else. You just sort of shut your brain off and think about the very large things. But on the other hand, large things, like, for the most part, like, I guess don't matter. And so it leads you to sort of lose yourself within the world, if that makes sense. Like, I guess it's important to be grounded in the world, because without that, you sort of just start to lose yourself. And I think I've very much embraced that latter half of the bad in my existentialism, and I've sort of been trying to come to terms with that. I'm very much a brooding type. I'm very much a self-destructive type. And like, I feel like I disassociate a lot from what's real. And sometimes it's not good to be existential about that, because it's sort of, I guess, to me it feels like it creates like an internal dialogue about yourself and like with the things that surround you that is not shared by everything else, and that sort of incongruence in what is shared life sort of alienates you even further. So like, basically this action that feels alienating on its own kind of feels like feeds back into itself, is I guess what I'm saying. I feel like I suppress my emotions a lot as well, because what happens when I have these 2 a.m. bouts is that I sort of just go like, it is what it is. When sometimes, no, it's not is what it is, if that makes sense. Sometimes you're pushed around and you need to stand your ground. And that sort of jazz. This week has been very wild for me, I guess. I feel like things have been bottling up for like a few weeks now, and then they got worse in like 2 weeks ago, and then I sort of exploded on Sunday night, and then I went through a very bad emotional mental state where I was not eating for a lot of the time, and I feel like I'm better now. I think it's been 5 days ever since the sort of explosion that I had, and I've been able to like eat more, I guess. I've been able to feel happy without being so sad after. And I feel like I've learned so much about myself in the past few days. I've changed so much in the past 5 days. Like, if I looked at myself a week ago and I looked at myself like today, you would think it's been like months of development. But in reality, it just happened over a week. Which sort of goes to show how sometimes if you choose the existential route, you sort of just get locked in this never-ending movement forever. Sometimes you just need to like go out and talk and become grounded. But like I said before, it's nice to have a sort of place to be existential with. I think no matter what, there'll always be a place to sort of lay down and like think about the big nothingness and your place in it. I think it definitely makes you more, not relieved in a way, but like be more cathartic. I feel like you're able to go through more than you would if you had to deal with like your emotions regularly. I don't know how people deal with their emotions. I just sort of suppress mine and hope they go away. But they never do. And I know that they never do. And it's a bad habit to just keep cycling that through. This bed makes you very existential. Like, when I first sat on it, it's like something took over me, and I just melted away from the real world, and I started crying, because it was just so, like, haunting, in a way. Just like an empty bed with no bed sheets, no pillows, no stuffies, no nothing on it. It's just a few planks of wood and a mattress. And that's... the concept seems cool, but I think ever since having access to this, I've had more existential and emotional doubts in general, which, like I said before, may be a good thing. Maybe I do need these bouts, and maybe as long as I keep a good balance between existential and emotional bouts and breakdowns and real worldness, I can be a better musician that way. Musician? Why did I say musician? I'm very tired right now. I am working on 3 hours of sleep and I've been awake. It's 2 a.m. right now and I've been awake since 7 a.m. and the night before I got 3 hours of sleep. So I think I've been awake for 3, 15, 17 hours. That's not bad. It's a lot's happened recently, and so every day feels like 2 or 3 days. Everything feels so far apart. When in reality, it just literally just happened. I'm thinking of what I was going through a week ago, and it feels like a month ago. And I just feel like, in general, I'm lost right now. I'm very lost right now. What if, like, instead of, like, what if all cows made chocolate milk instead of regular milk, and we filter out the chocolate to have regular milk? You know? Don't you ever think that? I think of that. Like, cause like, if you're a brown cow, you make chocolate milk. And how do you get regular milk from that? It makes more sense that way, I guess. Or maybe I just like to think that there's such thing as chocolate cows. I like cows. They're pretty cool. I finished my freshman year in 4 weeks. And it's in a way scary. It's relieving. It feels like I've been here for years now, when in reality I really only started getting the sort of college experience maybe 3-4 months ago. Time flies like that, but yeah. I think I'll have more guests here because I don't know if you can tell, but one very sleepy, about to fall asleep person maybe isn't gonna be as interesting as 2 existential, slightly sleepy people. That's my thought, at least. But I hope all the people I ask, will want to join. Because it is an interesting concept for a podcast. You just lay on a bed and you talk about life for, few minutes. It's kind of weird. But hopefully this sort of ASMR kind of style is good. I also just can't talk right now normally. But I also don't want to yell because it's 2 a.m. So I will speak very quietly all the time when I talk here on this existential bed. I'm gonna miss the existential bed because it's going away. Or it's not going away, I'm going away. Everything is changing so much, and it's scary. But you have to get through it. I feel like I go through a lot of self-destructive behaviors just to avoid accepting change, and that's not good, because change is not necessarily good, but needs to be accepted. I've changed a lot in the 5 days, and something just fell. Sometimes I feel like I don't even recognize who I was even like a few months ago, but maybe it's a good thing, because that means I've changed, and I'm recognizing that I'm changing. So maybe you need, I don't know, maybe it's better to start off with smaller things, smaller changes, and develop a healthy mindset about change in a sort of low risk environment. Because, I don't know, there's so many unhealthy ways to deal with change, and if you can't accept it, then I don't know what you're gonna do in life. It'll suck.